Speaking of speed and overcoming injuries, Moses Leo in the centres. For game number 2, there's Wade Egan. For the first time, it is Melbourne against the Warriors, with both team in the top 4, and the kickoff is high and short. Munster couldn't get there in time, and a win for the Warriors from the outset.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage too. Just he lost it on the way down there, Munster. Tried to put his boot to it to stop it. And the Warriors clean up straight away on the attack. Good start for them.
Egan out of dummy half. He'll do plenty of running from that position, and he attracts a penalty early. High contact adjudicated by Ash Klein. Liam Kennedy in the bunker for us. Here's the kickoff. Just in no man's land in front of Munster, and then Stefano Utoikamanu, his contact just drifting up high. Not a lot in it, but drifting up around the chin/neck.
Gee, that's an interesting decision there to take the tap straight away. I thought they would have gone for the goal there to open up the scoring, but anyway, the Warriors on the charge.
Through Barnett. Here's the milestone man, game 100. Clark finds Metcalf. Now near Corre. Egan. Clark and Metcalf again running to the line. Ball to ground, an error, and it's picked up by Anderson. Straight away they counter. Moses Leo run down at halfway. Importantly so by Rocco Berry. He's Towie Moses Leo when he was almost sufficiently clear.
Can't they counter-attack straight away on the attack, the Melbourne Storm? Metcalf nearly squeezed through that hole, just threw the ball a little bit late. Melbourne up with the charge. First time they've got the football, straight away on the counter-attack.
Fresh from 48 points against the Seagulls, their biggest score against Manly last weekend. Elias Akatoa. First couple of minutes, no shortage of excitement. Jerome Hughes, Munster. Braw gets the ball away, Pappenhausen. Now they go on Howarth, and Xavier Coates goes in. What a counter. The Warriors applying the blowtorch at one end. Melbourne cut a break, and a blink of an eye later, they're over.
And straight away over the top, Xavier Coates gets the try. Look at this, got him for numbers. The offload. Beautiful stuff straight away to get that first try. Howarth with a good catch and pass. Just puts his wingman over unopposed. Just couldn't get back in time after that long-range break from the Melbourne Storm on the counter-attack. Didn't have the numbers there. They sum it up quickly. Melbourne open to scoring.
Xavier Coates loves playing at Amy Park. His 33rd try in 30 outings here. And against the Warriors, he fills his boots as well. They put 30 points plus on the Warriors twice last year. Melbourne Storm through the boot of Ryan Pappenhausen make it 6-0.
In the field position so far, we're pretty lucky it's only 6-0. The Warriors have hung on pretty well. Been pretty good and solid in defence, been aggressive. Got to hang on here.
Melbourne off the back of their first 40-20 of the season. Jerome's third of his career. Found themselves right on the attack. Utoikamanu getting better with each game. Now Harry Grant. King goes in. It was set up by his fellow front rower, Stefano Utoikamanu. And then Josh King gets his second try of the season, number 11 of his career.
Yeah, so important.
Josh King. The Warriors have dominated possession. They've had 60% of the territory, yet they'll look up after this Josh King try and say, hang on, we're down 12-0. There are some numbers to back up your point blocker, but let's watch Ryan Pappenhausen here from right in front make it 12 points to 0. Just repeating that news from Jake. James Fisher-Harris with a pec problem. The early diagnostic information is Anderson now. They've dropped into a grind here, Blocker, after the first 2 tries of the game go to Melbourne. Pappenhausen, only blot on the Storm's season, a loss to the Dragons in Sydney where they scored only 8 points. Apart from that, 3 big wins with points aplenty. Offload, back to Harry Grant. Here's Leo. Spent the best part of 2 years on the sidelines when he went for a run, stepped in a pothole, blew out his ACL and fractured his kneecap on landing. Moses Leo in the centres for Melbourne.
Starting to get a bit tight around the ruck now. The Warriors, a lot of offloads in that set.
Munster goes high. It'll be a contest won by Xavier Coates, who gets the ball back for Sean Bloor. The bomb, the aerial target who is Xavier Coates. Why wouldn't you do it time and time again? The aerial assailant delivers for the Storm and Sean Bloor goes over.
I reckon every time the ball goes up, when he's got a little bit of a run, Xavier Coates on the footy, perfectly timed again. Munster it is that puts the kick up. Just full of running, gets the football. Look at them all stay alive, back on the inside. Bloor gets the spoils. Did well to get the ball down there too. A couple of the Warriors around him, but too big, too strong. Slams the football down. They're in for number 3, Melbourne.
Block, it's a mismatch, isn't it? Xavier Coates jumping against Tane Tuapiki. That Harvey Norman replay shows it perfectly. Against the Warriors, round 2 last year, flying over in the corner to win the game in the 80th minute. He helps them take an 18-0 lead.
Off the Melbourne Storm, they get a penalty. Might have been a late tackle there. Someone got hit after they passed the ball by the look of it. But anyway, we play on. Here they come again.
So the no try, but a penalty to Melbourne invites them to keep the pressure on. Good call against the Warriors.
The offloads are starting to kill them now.
Here's Trent Liero.
7-3 at the moment.
Katoa.
Oh, put them on the ground. Try and slow that, play the ball down.
Liero finding King, who found a hole. Goes back to his fellow middle forward. It's King for Liero. And Melbourne are in a mood again.
He's having a day out, Josh King. I know he's got a lot of good players around him.
From Luke Metcalf. The Warriors have been reduced to 12 men. We'll go back to that. Firstly, the try, King.
Great performance last week against Manly. They're backing it up.
Pappenhausen perfect off the tee. It is 24-0. Ahead for the Warriors. They're back at home next week against Brisbane, then in Christchurch on Anzac Day against Newcastle. The next 2 games for the Warriors, maybe without James Fisher-Harris, Brisbane and Newcastle. Niokore. Tui Kamikamica about to enter the fray. Tavita to Barnett. So Barnett and the rest of the forwards with an extra burden to carry now. Got some impressive players off the bench. Dimitri Vaimonga is one of them. Leka Halasima to enter shortly. Metcalf. Got away from King, but takes the tackle from Sean Bloor. Now Nickel Flipstar and King crashes in from the side. And they'll have a changeover. Josh King just careered into frame and said, don't go any further, chance.
Yeah, they're a little bit rattled there, aren't they? Haven't had the ball for a long period of time. Got to come away with something a little bit better than that at the back end of a set. Trying to trap Melbourne in there in gold area. King comes up with a pearler.
Alec McDonald out there. Backed up by another set of fresh legs. Tui Kamikamica.
Can't put him on the ground.
So settled to start the season, unchanged from last week to this week, Moses Leo, although they have had to handle injuries to Will Warbrick, Nelson Asapa Solomona, both out with head knock concerns. Here's Howarth standing, flicking the ball away to Pappenhausen. Pappenhausen looks to offload and does. Sean Bloor, now Xavier Coates. Egan can't go with him. There are purple jumpers everywhere. And here's one of the best. Harry Grant goes in. They'll kick to make it 30-0. It is a Melbourne mauling of the Warriors at Amy Park.
Yeah, Pappenhausen, not only speed, but with the ability to get the football away. They were off and running again, straight up that left-hand side. Xavier Coates, long strides. Just have a look at the support back on the inside here for the Melbourne Storm. They don't stand around and admire what they do. They stay alive. Here's the break now. Catch and pass. Coates in the clear. Look at the support. Beautiful stuff there. Harry Grant, what a player he is. Goes over next to the post. Melbourne in again.
There's no AFL in town today. They're all in Adelaide for gather round, but Harry's brought a bit of AFL with the try celebration there, just handballing the Steeden towards the fans at the southern end. 11 offloads to 3 with a couple of them in that one play to set up the try. Still 10.5 left in the opening 40, and it is 30 points to nil.
Coming into the match, all the talk was about the 16 straight wins for the Melbourne Storm over the Warriors. What wasn't talked about is how dominant those victories have been. 10 of them have been by 10 points or more, with an average points of 34 points per game the Melbourne Storm have scored when playing the Warriors in those victories. You just have to remember a couple of years ago when they put 70 on Anzac Day, and it's looking ominous here at Amy Park this afternoon. The sun is shining. It's a fast track. The Warriors have a man in the bin. They're missing their inspirational skipper, James Fisher-Harris, and they're already down 30-0, and the big four are rolling for Melbourne. The Warriors have to turn it on soon.
Yeah, 34-13, Jake. It's the average scoreline during this 16. Appears to be about 17 straight wins. Melbourne against the Warriors, 34-13.
I reckon the big four's becoming the big 8.
Here's one of them putting his hand up. Young Jack Howarth. Now Pappenhausen, not slowing down, are they? Eli Katoa into Capewell and Vaimolga. This is Leo. It does become 17 straight wins. Some viewers might be asking, what's the all-time record? It's St George against Newtown. There's almost an intercept. Coates away again. Bloor on the inside, and Coates just accelerates towards the defenders. He takes the tackle from Chance Nickel-Klugstad. Grant, Pappenhausen, numbers again, a long ball. Grant Anderson goes on a Sunday stroll. There's no defender within Kui. They have 6 tries in half an hour.
There was no way they were going to get back. Here's the pass over the top now. Sensational stuff. This is a beauty. The first one was from Grant. They knew exactly where to go. They had them all humbled in over one side of the field. Anderson can't believe it. What, playing on the end of this? How easy is that?
We've gone through Xavier Coates' remarkable try-scoring efforts on the... Ryan Pappenhausen hasn't missed today and still hasn't. He uses the upright there. We always wanted Sydney, and that was never going to be the case. Jackson Ford. Got to play the ball quickly. Final seconds, opening 40. Egan, Metcalf. Now the tackle from Munster. Jolts the ball through. It was Rocco Berry careering towards the in goal. Only Mitch's 6th carry of the game. 40-odd run metres. Afoa. Metcalf. Here's Leka Halasima. Tackled by Wishart. Ford. Vaimonga. Last play, and it's with Harris Tavita to kick. It will come down just short of the goal line and be gathered by the Warriors. Great take. Leka Halasima scores in consecutive games. Off the bench with impact again. Leka Halasima. Oh, he's a prospect blocker.
Yeah, I don't think it's long before we see these guys starting, just trying to ease their way in the coach Andrew Webster.
A few plays later, Stephen, this catch. Plenty of traffic, but
36 to 4, 36 to 6.
That's very pertinent, Stephen. And there's Metcalf. Yes. Round 6 of the NRL. He's known as Leo. Benji saying, I've got my strongest team this week. Luai is back. Skelton, Samuela Fainu returning as well. And the Knights, they've had injury troubles out of that loss to Canterbury last week, but Phoenix Crossland is there as the half. And they've got an 18th man in terms of their their crowd, that Hunter crowd that fills McDonald Jones Stadium. Up next, Newcastle West Tigers. Eliesa Katoa stands in the tackle. Bouchard. Now Munster, Pappenhausen. Quick hands from Howarth, beautiful. Away down the sideline. Xavier Coates accelerates for the end goal and finds his target. Xavier Coates, a joy to watch. Pure athleticism with a bit of brute force at the end blocker.
Yeah, he's that hard to stop, that close to the line too. Beautiful passing here from the Melbourne Storm. All the passes hit their mark here. Bouchard out the back, straight away to Pappenhausen. That was the money ball there from Howarth. A much smaller man, Tuapiki trying to take him on there. Straight away, he backs himself to score. Xavier Coates. You just see his eyes light up when he saw Tuapiki coming across. This is a beautiful vision. That's the money ball, that one, the catch and pass. Coates in the clear again. Just looks inside, sees Tuapiki there and goes, you know what? I'm going to try and run straight over the top here. He does exactly that, stays up.
Ryan Pappenhausen practicing his swing. He knows the Masters final round is on tonight. And he's perfect off the tee today. He's 7 from 7. It is 42 points to 6. Comes to planning against Melbourne block.
Yeah, pretty hard to do. I mean, coming into this round, Munster and Hughes had 12 try assists between them. When you look at the opposition in Harris, Tavita and Metcalf, only 4 between them. So that's the dominance in their halves. If you're going to go any good in this competition, the halves will get you home at the end of the day.
Here's one of the Metcalf on to Harris Tavita, albeit an opposing half. That's tackle 4. Clark. Couldn't get away from Uto Ikamanu and Kami Kamita. No fear, Aaron Clark just running at the biggest bodies in the Melbourne team. Is Metcalf. Tamed to Alpiki, Grubbers, and it's fielded by Moses Leo and lost. Somersaulting his way onto the ball. Rocco Berry scores an unlikely try for the Warriors. Well, a couple of rugby converts involved there. Moses Leo losing the ball. Rocco Berry pouncing to finish.
I don't know what he was trying to do there.
Park. The second half perhaps falling a little flat, but Melbourne, they'll go to bed tonight knowing how good they were in the first 40. Their 4th win of the season in the bank. They'll be 4-1 given they've had their bye already. Here's Aaron Clark.
I think the big thing is that they backed up that performance against Manly on their home ground last week. That's what would have been the focus.
Harris Tavita finding Metcalf, and Metcalf pulls his way through the line. There's another try for the Warriors in the second half. So Metcalf makes the scoreline a bit more respectable. We were talking about some of the record scores by Melbourne against the Warriors. 70 points. Behind that, 56, then a couple of 50-point hauls. Well, in the first 40, Leka Halasima, Rocco Berry, now Luke Metcalf, who can't improve the scoreline. He's had a rotten day off the kicking tee. And overall, a poor day for the Warriors. But Craig Bellamy, you can afford to smile if you want to. The Melbourne Storm, 42-14. It was 36-0 at halftime. Xavier Coates completed his double in the second half.